Today, we're going to go ahead and continue testing ARK Survival Evolved and try it out on the Steam Deck. And to start it off, we're going to be playing the game at 100p, the low preset. Coming to the settings, as you guys can see right here, we're using the low preset, but our resolution scale is down to the middle point. That's how it is by default, so it's not running at 800p exactly. So I'm going to try it out with the default preset and then push it up to 800p like it's supposed to be. So I'm going to guess 40 FPS at the low preset. The game will look very ugly, I think. Oh my god. But it should be playable, I hope. And I think for the Steam Deck, a mix of medium and high at 30 FPS hopefully is playable at 800p as well. Surprisingly, this isn't that bad. It's not great, obviously. It looks very pixelated, but I'm surprised. I'm getting 70 FPS so far. This game came out in 2015, or maybe a bit later actually. So it's not new, but still very intensive. And at the max preset, it will definitely push your hardware to its limits. We have fallen below 60 FPS already, but it was for a split second. Wow. 39 FPS is the lowest. Game is stuttering quite a bit. It's going through the jungle is making our FPS fall down quite heavily. Every couple of seconds. I'm not surprised, to be honest. But you know, at least this game looks better than what it does on the Switch, even at the low settings with the scaler down to a midway point. So up close, it does look pretty decent. But in the distance, man, this looks so bad. It's not great, obviously. And already at the low settings, we are falling below 60 FPS quite easily into the 40s and 30s. But let's keep going. I'm going to pause the game right here and go into the resolution scaler and increase it up to the max value. And then we're going to go up here. The UI is kind of buggy, I can't even lie. Some stuff you need the mouse for or the screen, and with the others, it's the controller. So it's kind of inconsistent, but it mostly works. Now playing the game fully at 800p. Wow, this looks much better. Much more clear. Looks fantastic, to be honest. When you compare it to the actual settings, the preset. The game is not liking it though. A lot more stuttering happening like every second or two. And we're falling into the 20s now as well. Oh my god. This is awful. Again, we're sitting in the 30s / the 40s with these settings. But it's still the low settings, so I'm not seeing any shadows. It's got really bad render distance. And reflections are decent, but could be better obviously. Okay, let's pause it here and go up to the medium settings and try it again. Alright, here we are in the settings menu. Going up to medium. Alright, I'm going to increase the scaler myself to the max already. So it's actually 100p. Okay, I'm expecting us to be sitting at the 20s / the low 30s at this point. It's not going to be great, that's for sure. Okay, the game looks much better at this point. We actually have foliage everywhere. The ground looks full instead of having empty patches everywhere. We have shadows, reflections, the lighting looks much better. It's a much better preset. But FPS wise, we are sitting in the mid 20s / the low 30s if we're lucky. So, not great, guys. I mean, I kind of saw this coming. With the 4090, we had like 60 FPS at the max settings. At 4K, obviously. And that's the 4090. That thing is insanely powerful. So with the Steam Deck, you bring it down quite a bit. And already at the medium settings, the game is pretty unplayable. And not too great. I'm going to go ahead and pause it here, actually, and lower a resolution scale. Let's go up to 75%. Okay. The game doesn't look as sharp, obviously. I'm not really a big fan of it, to be honest, but it's definitely far more playable. Now we're sitting in the high 20s / the mid 30s. To be honest, once you actually build stuff as well, once you have your server going, the game will be more intensive as well. Keep that in mind. This is just a basic world with nothing in it. It's a full world with players running around, with buildings everywhere, stuff like that. Will be far more intensive. But yeah, at this point, a bit more playable, still not too great. The game is very stuttery, and the FPS can easily fall down into the 20s as well, but it's better than before, I guess. It's an improvement. Alright, going into the settings and using the high preset. I'm going to max the scaler out as well. I can't even lie, at this point, I'll be happy with 20 FPS. But I do think we're going to fall down below 20, and it will be a slideshow, basically. And there we go, 17 FPS. The game looks about the same as medium, to be honest. It looks fantastic regardless, I think, but not very playable, obviously. It's still stuttering, and the performance all around is pretty garbage. So I think a mix of medium and low, with FSR enabled, and playing the game at 30 FPS, I think might be playable. I mean, even then, might have some stutters and some FPS dips, but I'll try it out and see how it runs, and I'll let you guys know. Okay, let's go to move on to the optimized settings now. Obviously, the medium and high settings by themselves aren't really playable, but hopefully with a mix of low and medium thrown in there, it can become playable. Okay, and for the optimal settings, going for a mix of medium and low, and some high thrown in there as well. Using a 30 FPS cap as well as FSR to hopefully give us that sharper look. Playing the game at 30 FPS, it's mostly stable. The game looks pretty decent as well. It's not ideal, obviously, to play a game like this, but at the same time, it's very intensive, and it's kind of hard to run. With these settings, you can get up to 40 FPS in those easier scenes, but it's not very stable, obviously. Realistically, on average, you're sitting in the mid-30s. And in those heavier scenes, you might fall down below 30 as well, so keep that in mind. And for your battery life, you're getting 1 hour and 40 to 2 hours of gameplay time, depending on where you are. It's not great, but I mean, for the Steam Deck, it's kind of average, to be honest. And for docked mode, it's kind of hard to balance the quality and performance in this game. So I'm playing the game at 720p, using FSR to upscale, and playing at a mix of medium and low settings, like before. It's not amazing, to be honest. We're getting 27 FPS up to 30 FPS, which isn't fantastic. And for me personally, this isn't really playable in docked mode, but you can try it out and see if you like it or not. Obviously, playing on a bigger TV at 720p isn't going to look great, but again, just try it out, see if it works for you, and you can go from there. But overall, it plays at 30 FPS for the most part. It will have dips into the 20s, so keep that in mind. It's not a consistent 30 FPS experience in docked mode, but the game is very intensive, so I'm not really surprised. So yeah, I think that's about it. In portable mode, just play at a mix of low and medium, and play at a lower resolution, use FSR to upscale, and ideally play with a 30 FPS cap. The game should be mostly stable, and should have a decent time playing it. Still not great, but this game again is very unoptimized and very intensive. And for docked mode, I personally would just skip it. I don't really think it's worth doing, but if you really want to, again, play at a mix of low and medium, use FSR, and play at 720p. Okay, I think that's about it. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys next time for the next video. See you guys there.